Sometimes you just need some new camera gear, and I was in one of those situations. I went to try some macro photography, and I also kind of needed a new tripod for some of the other videos I do on this channel. So let's go over some of the products I got. One of the first things I want to show you guys is this Oben tripod. It's a little tabletop tripod. As you can see, it's quite small. It doesn't really go all that high, but I needed it for the intro of this video because I want to put my camera on this table and then look at me. And a regular tripod is just way too big, too tall. I actually have the camera on a regular tripod right now, and it is just doing a top-down view. We'll go over that setup in the future. But this little Oben tripod seemed quite interesting to me. I also want to use this for macro photography. It's also much smaller, and I actually think it's going to be a lot more useful than a GorillaPod for me. It uses an Swiss mount right here, and it has 3 section legs down here. Now they are twist locks, so they're not nice, they're not as quick, but honestly for a little tripod like this, I think twist locks make sense because they are smaller and more compact than a flip lock will be. So other than that, what comes in here, as you can see, is just a 3-section little ball head. Like I said, Swiss mount. The ball head is fully functioning. It seems pretty tough. It definitely held my camera, which is a A7 Mark IV. And I have a Tamron 28-200, which is not the heaviest setup, but it's also certainly not a light setup. It's also in a half camera cage, so it adds a little bit of weight to that. The other cool feature is it comes with a center rod to extend up the base. So say you need to make the base more stable to go all the way out to the sides. And of course, if you do that, you lose a lot of height off the tripod. It has these little locks here for the legs. Now that's like super stable, but now it's also just right on the ground. If you still need some height, you have this little center stick you can put in here, which goes in between the ball head and the base. This ball head just cranks off. And then the ball head can just go on top. Everything's 1/4 inch, so it's easy to use. You could put your own ball heads, stuff like that. But see, now we have a tripod that is significantly different. So it's a very wide base, and it's actually still, I don't know, 1/2 meter tall or so about. But this allows you to have a lot of flexibility in how you use this tripod. It can be very stable, like crazy stable right now, and have a very wide base, or you can have a very small package that's a little less stable, but it's also short and compact and easy to use. So that's the first thing. So I bought this for a lot of my videos, where I have to be close up onto a bench or other things like that, or if I want to just do a piece to camera while talking at a table, this is like perfect height for all that. But one of the other things I want to do, like I said, is get into macro photography. Again, I've had it in the past. System I had, this wasn't really great. I've since moved on. This was a long time ago, and I want to try it again. So that's the next item, which is this Laowa 90mm to f2.8 CA Dreamer Macro X2. This is, to me, a very interesting lens. What makes it interesting is that it's actually 2x. It's also about the same length as a lot of standard macros, but it's a 2.8. It's compact, it's fully manual, so don't expect autofocus, but honestly, if you're using a macro as a macro, you're probably not autofocusing anyway. And yeah, let's get it unboxed. Now, I'm not going to go into like the optical quality. There's 1,000 videos on that. It's good. It's really good. So there's really not much to talk to about that. What I want to talk about is the build quality and the feel in the hand that it has when you're using it. So packaging is stereotypical camera, awesome, overpackaged, which sometimes these companies would do less or do simpler packaging, or packaging is more recyclable or something like that. But a lot of camera people keep their boxes because they want it for resale value and they want to be protected if they have to ship their camera or lens or whatever else. So I guess that makes sense in some way, but it'd be nice sometimes to see some eco-friendliness. So very simple packaging, very nice, but very simple packaging. So this is a plastic sleeve that goes over it. It comes with a hood, it's in a plastic case, and it comes in a high quality box. So it's a medium weight lens. I'm not gonna say it's heavy or not, but it's certainly not light, which in a lot of ways I think is actually a good thing because it helps you to stabilize everything. Keeps it, I don't know, a little bit of weight's good. when you're using things. Sometimes too light is not good, especially when you're trying to be precise. A little bit of weight actually helps add to precision sometimes, just because of the way your body and your muscles move. Sorry about the changing light. I actually realized I just had my camera recording in auto ISO, so we'll go with a fixed ISO. The zoom ring, or sorry, it's not a zoom ring, but it kind of acts like that sometimes on a macro. It's very, very, very smooth. It also has a lot of rotation. You can talk to some of the people who have measured it. It's like 190 degrees of rotation or something along those lines. It's quite a bit, and it's very well damped. It's very smooth. I believe these F numbers actually mean something on here, unlike some of the other ones from Laowa where these are just completely inaccurate. I believe on this camera, or on this particular lens, is actually reasonably accurate. Starts at 5.6 and goes through f2.8. It makes sense. 2.8 is going to be quite shallow. In fact, too shallow for macro photography. But if you want to use this lens for multiple things, it could be helpful. So one thing that people I know are slightly disappointed in with this lens is that it doesn't have weather sealing, but it's not that expensive. So sometimes you get what you pay for in that aspect. You're getting really, really good optical quality, you're getting really excellent build quality, super well dampened focus ring, but you don't get weather sealing. But you do get a front piece of glass here that keeps everything out of the lens structure itself. So one thing that macros have an issue with, especially cheaper macros, is that this whole barrel moves a lot when you're focusing, and it can suck in dust and dirt and other things. You just don't want fungus over a long period of time. It can actually help it can build up. Having something like this really helps reduce all that because it keeps everything off. It also helps from things literally falling into the lens when you're doing macro photography. So let's put it on the camera real quick and to see what it looks like on a small body like an A7C. So A7C is smaller, but it's also not a tiny little body. People actually think it's much smaller than it really is. So let's take a look here. Okay, red dot, not a white dot. That would have been nice if they would put a white dot like the other Sony lenses, but it's red, like most other camera companies. So one thing I will say, on the A7C, I have no finger room. I don't think this is gonna be a problem on my other bodies, which is a A7 Mark IV. But on this, that's actually really in the way. But, you're not really gonna be using a lot of people aren't using this on handheld, or if you are, I probably actually wouldn't suggest this because it's actually quite front heavy with this particular body. So you'd want a larger body like the A7 Mark IV, or any of those larger full body cameras. See how the lens hood goes. So the lens hood is nothing special. It's plastic. It does actually have clips. Like the detents are actually a separate piece of plastic in here that can actually flex out of the way, which actually, that's nice because it should help it from wearing out as quickly. And it's relatively tight, but not like, you can hear it, it kind of goes right into its lock point. Right here, it's a little bit loose, so it's a little rattly right there. But the rest of the way, it's actually really quite snug, but not like tight, it's just snug. So honestly, if you're trying to do video with this, I actually probably wouldn't put it at the very end. I'd probably have it slightly off because right here, there is no vibration, and here, there is. So Laowa, I would like to see if your detent pieces would actually keep it nice and stable when it's all the way on. But there's also no risk of this hood falling off anywhere, even if you have it slightly off to keep it from rattling. And it is a full 90-degree turn to get it on. But yeah, overall, the actual handling and feel of this is great. Like I said, I think it's the right weight for a lens. The f-stop ring here is smooth. It has clicks, but the clicks are not obnoxious. So I guess you probably could pull a video through it, but it'd probably be a little stuttery. It wouldn't be great. Now, there is no way to declick it. I know some video guys won't be happy about that, but this is a macro lens. It's not a video lens in that aspect where you're gonna be pulling f-stops. So last thing I have new today is some macro rails. Now, I probably won't use these a whole bunch, but I actually got two of them. They are from Siri, something like that, I don't know. Found these online. These seem to be super high quality. I've taken one out already, and they really do seem to be super high quality. And they hit above their price point. So these are about $100 each. I think their MSRP is $120, but these are $100 each. You can find them on sale quite a bit. And let me show you why I think these are a lot better than the price point would dictate. So there's a lot of macro rails in that $100 range. There's some cheaper ones. The cheaper ones, I'll say a couple things about them. They're definitely not as high in build quality. I've seen some in person. They're not bad, actually. They're pretty good, but they're not as good. One of the bigger things I noticed is that the higher quality ones, the thread pitch on this is quite a bit smaller, and it's tighter fitting to the thread. So you have less what's called backlash if you're a machinist. There's less points where there's play in the system without it actually moving the carriage. So in a lot of ways, this is actually very similar to a very small mill setup. So you have your vise and you have your plate that goes this way. If you actually get two, you can have one go this way and this way. Actually, that's the reason I bought two, so I can actually get full XY movement on this. So a couple things. It comes with these feet. I honestly don't have a clue what they're for. I don't know why anyone would ever use them. You can't put a camera on this and have it stand up on its own. I mean, it will stand right here, but definitely won't stand on its own if you put a camera on it. It'll just fall whichever direction the lens is in, unless you had a super light lens, but then it's not probably a macro lens. Probably only the Laowa 85mm f2.8 could you actually put on a body on this, on the table. But then once again, how are you gonna shoot your subject? So back to the point, I don't understand the feet at all. I'm gonna take them off and probably, I won't lose them, but effectively lose them. So one nice thing about this is that they have a handle on either side. So you have this like here, gotta unlock it. You have this, which is like a easy to use, bell crank to move it back and forth. You also have this, which I guess you could say is kind of a speed handle. It's just another option, whichever one you like. I don't think one's really necessarily much faster than the other. This you could roll across your finger to make bigger adjustments quicker. This is probably a little easier to make real fine adjustments, but that's about the only real difference between the two. The biggest thing is the smaller thread pitch, which means it takes longer to get from side to side on this. So one thing I did like is that this is an Arca Swiss mount on the bottom. It's actually an Arca Swiss mount on the top as well, ironically. That means this will go to any other Arca Swiss device you have. Its camera mount plate is also an Arca Swiss. So, meaning you can take another one of these and just put it right here, and it will allow you to have X and Y. One other nice thing I like about this is, say you don't like your camera this way on it, you don't want to rotate your Arca Swiss mount on the bottom, or you don't have a four-way mount, is you can, is it this one? You can do this and then turn it. This is a feature I've only seen on other really expensive versions of macro rails. This is the reason I think this is an absolute value. Also, just that everything fits very tightly together. It's very well made. You can feel it in the hand. Like that nothing here is cheap. Nothing here was skimped on. It's quality materials. It's quality bits and pieces. This is stainless. All the screws and all the steel pieces are stainless. All the aluminum pieces are anodized. All the etching is super clear. So one thing I see on this, I have not seen on any cheaper rail, I mean like under like 250 bucks, is the quick disengage for here to make large adjustments. So this is obviously really good for making small adjustments. This is really good for making small adjustments. But if you want to go from here, if you need to go from here to here, here to there, it's gonna take forever. They've integrated a quick release plate, or quick release lever. You can just move it and you let go and it re-engages. That is a unique feature to this I've seen at this price point. That plus this, plus the overall build quality, this is a heck of a value. So let's flip it over real quick, look on the bottom. That mechanism is right here. That releases that quick release plate to a quick adjustment plate, I guess you could say. And it's actually these jaws that actually work on these brass pieces. This actually being brass, I think is a very good thing. So brass is a relatively self-lubricating material. It will wear faster than aluminum or some other things, but realistically, this is not under a lot of pressure. The wear is going to be minimal over the life of this thing. I don't think anyone would ever wear one of these out unless you had on some like automated rig, which is going back and forth 1,000 times an hour for the life of it. The rest of it, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's actually on ball bearings, the slide mechanism, so it's gonna be nice and smooth. It's not gonna catch if you go along. It's not gonna get grit. Hopefully, it won't get gritty or anything like that. But they are all sealed ball bearings. I found that actually another unique feature versus most of them are sliding aluminum on aluminum with nothing to guide it to reduce friction or anything along those lines. So yeah, I think this is a really cool rail. So I think this plus that little tripod I bought, plus a regular tripod, plus the Laowa macro lens itself is going to add a lot of versatility. It's actually, I'm going to integrate this into some of my other videos I do with bicycles and other things like that. I might even see if I can do a series of videos for bicycles of guessing what the macro picture is. And I think that'll be interesting. The 2x macro is definitely way more close than the average macro, which is only in 1x, so it'll be an interesting video. Or set of videos or pictures or whatever I do. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions about any of the products in this video, please let me know in the comments below and I will be sure to answer them as quick as I can. If I get a bunch of comments about a particular item or a bunch of different questions about a particular item, I'll try to create a follow-up video discussing all those things and just trying to be more informative and spread any information that people want. I think each of these products are going to live a long life in my kit, and until then, thanks for watching.